So today we're gonna talk about another book summary, and this time it's gonna be Awareness by Anthony de Mello, which was and still is one of the favorite books of Tim Ferriss, and he recommended it and he was talking about it also relatively lately. And so I thought, without knowing anything about the book, just slight nuances of what it could be about, I'm just gonna go through it and see what I can get out of it. Today we're on the alanchang.com site. If you want to check it out, please check it out, Google it. But afterwards I think we're also gonna go through something else. So another summary, since the summary is quite short. And most often it is indeed the case that the longer the summary, the better it is. Because there's more space and more room to actually include those tiny little things that make a book worth reading, in terms of actually reading the whole book. So want to learn the ideas in Awareness better than ever? Read the world's #1 book summary of Awareness by Anthony de Mello here. Read a brief one-page summary or watch video summaries curated by our expert team. Note, this book guide is not affiliated with or endorsed by the publisher or author, and we always encourage you to purchase and read the full book. That was an ad. Oh. Fuck this shit. So, one-page summary of Awareness. What is, quote-unquote, financial literacy? The Organization of Economic Cooperation and Development, which is the OECD, defines financial literacy as the combination of awareness, knowledge, skill, attitude, and behavior necessary to make sound financial decisions and ultimately achieve individual financial well-being. This definition includes cognitive ability, personality type, and preferences. A lack of these skills can create a long-lasting negative cycle within families that are less financially literate. Women can improve their financial skills by getting the proper training, information, and guidance. This will help them understand money better and make better decisions about it. And this should also be said to men, by the way. Policymakers should incorporate education about money into general consumer education, which would be nice, but maybe there is a reason for why they aren't doing it. Studies on financial literacy focus on 5 areas. First of all, the ability to meet the basic needs of a family is crucial. Second of all, successful entrepreneurs must have 3 skills: the ability to keep accurate financial records, the ability to create a spending plan, and understanding of how money works. Which is a very, very, very broad concept. And saying it like this, like, how does money work? Well, in which way, There are probably gonna be certain things that you don't necessarily have to know. Like, how is money being printed? What printing mechanisms are they using? Which is also kind of how money works, This is how it is created, so it is part of the whole money theme and or thing. Anyway, women are less likely to be knowledgeable about financial topics according to a study conducted by researchers. The results show that women have difficulty understanding basic financial concepts and answering questions related to finance. What is this fucking book about, man? This bothers me quite a lot. Financial literacy varies by gender. Women are better at managing household funds and men are better with long-term planning, choosing products and staying informed. In developed countries, women lag behind in skills pertaining to accumulating wealth and creating sustainability. Why target women? Let me just have a look at another summary by calvinrosser.com. Summary. Awareness is nourishment for the soul in a humorous and digestible way. Anthony de Mello helps you understand yourself and the world in a way that will help you improve the quality of your life. So how could it actually be the case that even this kind of short little thing is about something completely different than the other shit that I was just reading? Like, I don't fucking get that shit. Anyway, key takeaways. Psychologists give you relief, not cures. It is only when you're sick of your sickness that you'll get out of it. Most people go to a psychiatrist or a psychologist to get relief. I repeat, to get relief, not to get out of it. Which I don't really think is the truth, but let's see. This is an interesting idea. Imagine going to a psychologist to talk about your troubled marriage. If a psychologist helps you feel slightly better about the situation but doesn't fix the underlying problem, you may still be in troubled marriage, but you will continue in it because you feel good enough to keep going. On the other hand, if you didn't go to the psychologist, you may have become completely fed up with your troubled marriage. At this point, you might decide to leave it. You'll go through some pain, but you might end up in a better place in the long run. I want to underline might. Even though I just kind of know that it is going to be the case, but I don't want to go for psychologists being quote unquote unnecessary and they are only going for curing whatever the fuck you're going through. Like, this is literally what I am not doing with my psychologist and my therapist. The thing that we are doing and we were analyzing is indeed just understanding and knowing why I have certain problems, the root cause, so that I can tackle that. And it is actually indeed his words, like, just it's not about relieving things, it's not about curing the symptoms, but it is rather about going for the root cause and going for what is indeed wrong. This doesn't negate the potential utility of seeing a psychologist, but you can imagine cases in which the temporary relief you get from a psychologist may make you content to stay in a situation that you should change. Which I hate that paragraph or that point, because I don't think it is true. Like, it is an utter generalization. It's like me saying, okay, every teacher is a piece of shit because they have to grade you. Like, no. Will you resist will persist. When you renounce or fight something, you become tied to it. In finding it, you give it power. So instead of fighting, give in. You might find that what you've been resisting no longer holds the same power over you. Which is actually a pretty interesting point and a pretty good point, because maybe whatever the fuck you're scared of or whatever other negative emotion you are attaching to it, maybe by giving in, you actually see that it is not harming you in any way. Like, it is just there, it is existing, and you can just push it away and move ahead. Charity is different forms of self-interest. Charity is really self-interest masquerading under the form of altruism. There are two types of selfishness. The first type is the one where I give myself the pleasure of pleasing myself. That is what we generally call self-centeredness. The second is when I give myself the pleasure of pleasing others. That would be a more refined kind of selfishness. Then you've got the third type, which is the worst, when you do something good so that you won't get a bad feeling. It doesn't give you a good feeling to do it, it gives you a bad feeling to do it. You hate it. Wake up by letting your identity go. The one thing you need most of all is the readiness to learn something new. The chances that you will wake up are in direct proportion to the amount of truth you can take without running away. How much are you ready to take? How much of everything you've held dear are you ready to have scattered without running away? How ready are you to think of something unfamiliar? Which I think, once again, is a pretty great point. We often fall into the same patterns and we often tend to do the same things, and it just makes sense to, from time to time, make something different or create a difference in your life by doing things in a different way, by doing a different thing, by maybe thinking about a certain thing the complete opposite way. Like your political assumptions or your political standings, what your political thoughts are, I don't know. Just thinking in the opposite way, like how could you indeed kind of promote the other party quite, actually just as a thought experience and see what it is like. And I think that we all can learn something from doing things also the opposite way, but also thinking through things the opposite way, and like just really picturing us in these shoes. You can't fix things you don't understand. The trouble with people is that they're busy fixing things they do not even understand. We are always fixing things, aren't we? It never strikes us that things don't need to be fixed. They really don't. This is a great illumination. They need to be understood. If you understood them, they'd change. Well, I think to some degree this could be a pretty great point. It depends on what it is all about. How to change the world. Do you want to change the world? How about beginning with yourself? How about being transformed yourself first? But how do you achieve that? Through observation, through understanding, with no interference or judgment on your part, because what you judge, you cannot understand. Labels and ideologies. When you say of someone, he's a communist, understanding has stopped at that moment. You slapped a label on him. She's a capitalist. Understanding has stopped at that moment. You slapped a label on her, and if the label carries undertones of approval or disapproval, so much the worse. How are you going to understand what you disapprove of or what you approve of for that matter? All of this sounds like a new world, doesn't it? No judgment, no commentary, no attitude. One simple observes, one studies, one watches without the desire to change what is. Because if you decide to change what is into what you think should be, you no longer understand. All suffering is caused by my identifying myself with something, whether that something is within me or outside me. But I think it is even worse when it is outside you. As soon as you look at the world through an ideology, you are finished. No reality fits an ideology. Life is beyond that. That is why people are always searching for a meaning to life, but life has no meaning. It cannot have meaning because meaning is a formula. Meaning is something that makes sense to the mind. So you could actually kind of create it and then make it up. Becoming immune to praise and blame, which I'm not going to read the whole thing because it seems a bit long. Actually, for the title and or headline saying everything, it makes sense to be in the middle of it so that neither praise changes you and or affects you, nor blame affects you. Awakening. One sign that you're awakened is that you don't give a damn about what is going to happen in the next life. You're not bothered about it. You don't care. You're not interested, period. When you go through life with preferences but don't let your happiness depend on any one of them, then you are awake. You need to change. Anytime you have a negative feeling toward anyone, you're living in an illusion. There is something seriously wrong with you. You're not seeing reality. Something inside of you has to change. But what do we generally do when we have a negative feeling? He is to blame, she is to blame, she's got to change. No, the world's all right. The one has to change is you. We always want someone else to change so that we will feel good. But has it ever struck you that even if your wife changes or your husband changes, what does that do to you? You're just as vulnerable as before. You're just as idiotic as before. You're just as asleep as before. You're the one who needs change, who needs to take medicine. Maybe not. How to be your best self. Get rid of your fear of failure and tension about succeeding. You will be yourself. Relaxed. When you're living for nothing, you've got all your skills. You've got all your energy, you're relaxed, you don't care. It doesn't matter whether you win or lose. When you're living for nothing. I think it is actually a very interesting book. We see things as we are. We see people and things not as they are, but as we are. This is why when people look at something or someone, you get two different reactions. We see things and people not as they are, but as we are. Reality is not a formula. The guru cannot give you the truth. Truth cannot be put into words, so also not into a formula. That isn't the truth. That isn't reality. Words do not give you reality. They only indicate reality. Reality is experienced. The last one. The limitations of concepts. If you don't look at things through your concepts, you'll never be bored. Every single thing is unique. Every sparrow is unlike every other sparrow despite the similarities. It is great help to have similarities so we can abstract, so that we can have a concept. It is a great help from the point of view of communication, education, science. But it is also very misleading and a great hindrance to seeing this concrete individual. If all you experience is your concept, you're not experiencing reality, because reality is concrete. The concept is a help to lead you to reality, but when you get there, you've got to intuit or experience it directly. That being said, I'm going to see you the next time. Bye-bye.